I welcome you all in the live Facebook session. Today's topic that I am going to discuss, that is a transformer. So question arises, what is a transformer? So transformer is a static machine. This machine have highest efficiency in all electrical machine. What is the reason behind this? That transformer has highest electrical efficiency because as I told you that transformer is a static machine. That means there is a no dynamic part in this machine in comparison to the other electrical machine like a DC motor, DC generator. So transformer is a static machine which is used to transfer electrical energy from one circuit to another circuit by keeping the frequency constant. This particular topic is useful for the program Certificate of Competency in Power Distribution, which is for the technician, and this particular course comes under the course under Power Distribution System Basic. The code is OEE002. Now we have to understand what is the need of transformer. So on the previous lecture I have discussed about the power system, and I told you that power is generated at a generating station and our aim is to transmit this generating power to the consumer side, and for that particular purpose you have to step up the voltage of generated electrical power. Suppose example is we are generating electrical power at thermal power plant at 11 kV and total power is 110 megawatt. Now you have to transmit this 110 megawatt power to the consumer. So for this purpose what you have to do, you have to step up the voltage, right? So for stepping up the voltage, the one device is needed. That particular device is called transformer. And what is the reason for this? Why transformer is needed to step up the voltage? As you know, three-phase power is equal to root 3 VL IL cos phi. That BL is a line voltage, IL is also line current, and cos phi is power factor. Now as transformer is basically at the input side and the output side, power is constant. That means you cannot step up or step down the power. What you can step up and step down, that is a voltage or current. So as three-phase power is equal to root 3 BL IL cos phi, and power is constant and this power factor is also constant. So what you can conclude here, if you are you are going to step up the voltage, that means in proportional current will get down. So or you can say IL is inversely proportional to the line voltage. That means if line voltage is increasing, suppose I am talking about step up transformer, and you can understand like you are using 11 kV oblique 132 kV. That means you are going to convert 11 kV voltage into 132 kV voltage. So 110 megawatt is a power, right? Or you can say, so you are converting 132 kV. That means if voltage is going to step up, so in the proportional current will get down, right? So our aim is what? We are reducing the current because this current has to be transmitted through the wire, and wire means what? Basically resistance, because you are going to transmit this electrical power through the transmission line. So this transmission line have some resistive losses. So you are able to reduce the current with the help of this transformer because you are stepping up the voltage. If you are able to reduce the current, that means you are able to reduce the resistive losses. That losses is nothing but that is called I square R losses. If you are going to down this current, so of course size of the conductor will also decrease. If size of the conductor will decrease, that means volume of the conductor is decreased. If volume of conductor is decreased, that means of course you are saving some saving money in terms of for the wire. Of course, because you are able to reduce the current, so you are able to reduce the loss. If you are able to reduce the losses, that means whatever the power you are getting at the consumer side, you are getting more power. If you are getting the more power, that means efficiency is more. Now because current is less, if current is less, so whatever the current is flowing through the conductor, that will happen some voltage drop. that means I into R. R, if you are taking this, R is the resistance of the transmission line, so there will be voltage drop will be less. So voltage drop is less, that means you are, whatever the voltage you are getting at receiving side, that is a more. That means what are the advantage of this transformer? You are able to step up the voltage. So in proportional to that, you are able to reduce the current. If you are able to reduce the current, that means you are able to reduce the losses. At the same time, you are able to reduce the size of the conductor. You are able to increase the efficiency of that particular system, and you are also able to reduce the voltage drop. Right? So this is the need of the transformer. Now we have to understand what is the transformer. Transformer is nothing but it is a static device, as I already told you, which transfer electrical energy from one electrical circuit to the another one with the desired change in voltage or current by a magnetic flux without changing the frequency. You have to keep in your mind that transformer transmit electrical energy from one circuit to another circuit, but what is the constant in that? That means at the input side and the output side, power is constant and frequency is constant. So suppose we are talking about the India. So in India, the frequency is 50 Hertz. So suppose someone asks what is the frequency at the input side and what is the frequency at the secondary side in the transformer. So frequency will be the same, and whatever the power you are going to transmit, that power will also be changed. So what you are going to change, that means transformer changing on the voltage and current. Now we have to understand what is the working principle of this transformer. Transformer work on the principle of mutual induction, which states that when two coils are inductively coupled and if current in one coil is changed uniformly, then an EMF, that is electromotive force, gets induced in other coil. So this is a simple working principle of transformer. Now here you can understand what is the construction of the transformer. So as you can see in the diagram, you are able to see the laminated core which has been shown in the red color. The transformer core is made of high grade silicon steel lamination, which is generally called CRGO. So what is CRGO? Cold rolled grain oriented silicon steel. So it is the core of this transformer is laminated first, and it is made of the CRGO. Basically it should be the magnetic material, because you have to transfer the magnetic flux. And transformer has a two winding. One is a primary winding, another is a secondary winding. If we are talking about the primary winding, so of course winding have some turns, and it can be denoted as a N1 at the primary side, and at the secondary side it can be denoted as N2 side. So suppose we are saying it is a step up transformer. So what is the difference between a step up and a step down transformer? A step up transformer means if you are giving AC voltage at the primary side and you are able to step up the voltage secondary side, so it will be termed as step up transformer. Suppose someone asks, at the primary side current is 10 ampere and the secondary side current is 20 ampere. Which type of transformer is? So basically here current is increasing. So it is not a step up transformer, it is a step down transformer. So step up and step down transformer is classified on the basis of either you are stepping up the voltage or stepping down the voltage. For step up transformer, N2 has a more number of turns than N1. Secondary is high voltage. Of course, it is high voltage, that means it will have low current, while primary is low voltage, so it means it will have high current. Here you can understand the principle of operation in the diagram. Here you can see the core which is shown in the this pink color. Here what we are doing, the number of turns at the primary side is N1 and number of turn at the secondary side is N2. Here you can see the number of turns and what we are doing. Here you can see the sinusoidal waveform at the primary side. On the y-axis it has been shown V1 with respect to the time V1, and just you observe the magnitude of that particular sine wave V1. And at the secondary side, again you can see the sinusoidal waveform. So if you are able to see that magnitude, or you can say the maximum voltage or peak voltage of secondary side is more in comparison to the primary side. So what we will say, it is a step-up transformer. So now what we are doing, we are giving it is being charged by the AC supply, that is denoted as V1. V1 is equal to Vm sin omega t, it is generally denoted, and this particular supply have frequency is 50 Hz, which is constant. So you are giving a supply at the primary side. So because it is a coil, it is connected, circuit is complete. So due to applying of this voltage, what will happen? Current will start to flow. If this current will start to flow, so what will happen? This current will be transferred through the N1 number of the turns. So that means it will link to the number of turns. So that means this N1 and I1, product of N1 and I1 is nothing but it is a flux linkage. So flux linkage is equal to what? Phi is equal to N1 and I1. So as I told you, because it is a sinusoidal, that means it's have a tendency to change the magnitudes. That means magnitude is changing. So as per Faraday law, what happens? Faraday law states that rate of change of flux induced EMF. Here flux is changing because it is sinusoidal. If you are comparing with respect to the time, so at the time t equal to 0, this V1 voltage is 0. Suppose at time at t equal to t by 4, so magnitude is maximum. Then at t by 2, this voltage is 0. At t by 3, it is voltage again negative, and at t again voltage is 0. That means with respect to time, the magnitude of voltage is changing. That means this, if voltage is changing, that means this flux is also changing. So as per Faraday law, rate of change of flux induced EMF. So what is here? Flux phi is equal to I1 into N1. So what will happen? Due to this applied voltage V1, one EMF E1 will induce in turns N1 at the primary side, and it can be denoted at E1 is equal to minus N1 d phi over dt. This will be called as a self-induced EMF. Now here you will notice this minus sign is coming. Why this minus sign is coming? This minus sign is coming due to the Lenz law. What Lenz law states? It opposes always cause. So cause is what? Cause is this E1 is a output, and E1 is producing due to which quantity? Due to the applied voltage V1. So this E1 will oppose applied voltage V1. That's why it is denoted as minus N1 due to the Lenz law, and N1 d phi over dt due to the Faraday law. So what we have done now? We are able to get induced EMF E1 at the primary side, right? Up this E1 will always be less than V1, right? Why? If we are not talking about the ideal transformer. If it is ideal transformer, so we will assume that this coil have a zero resistance. If this resistance is 0, that means V1 minus I1 R1 is equal to E1. Now because we are saying that it is an ideal transformer, so R1 is 0, so E1 is equal to V1, right? If you are talking about the practical transformer, so this coil have some resistance, it will have some leakage reactance. So E1 is equal to what? V1 minus I1 R1 minus I1 into X. X is basically mutual inductance or self-inductance. So we are talking about, this is an ideal transformer. So if ideal transformer, in case of ideal transformer, E1 is equal to V1, right? Now what is happening? You are able to get the induced EMF, and due to this you are able to produce the flux. Now this flux will transfer through the lamination of the core toward the secondary side. That phi is denoted as phi is equal to phi m sin omega t. Phi means the maximum flux, sin omega t means it is showing it is a sinusoidal in nature. Now this flux will transfer because it is a magnetic core, right? So this flux will transfer from the primary side to the secondary side, and this flux will link to the secondary side with the number of turns N2. So here flux linkage is equal to what? N2 into phi. Again, because it is sinusoidal, so as per Faraday law, what will happen? Faraday law states that rate of change of flux induced EMF. So E2 is equal to what? d phi over dt, and phi is equal to what? N2 into phi. So N2 is a constant, it will be outside. So E2 is equal to minus N2 d phi over dt. On phi, here you can see this N2 is more than N1. So of course this E2 is more than E1. If this N2 is less than N1, so of course it will be E2 will be less than E1. So in that case it will be the step down transformer. But in particular case, we are assuming that number of turns N2 is more than the number of turns from the primary side. So that means you are going to step up the voltage. So this is just a step up transformer, and here you can understand how this transformer is working, right? So this is all about the principle of transformer, or you can summarize in terms that means transformer work on the principle of the mutual induction, and it work on the principle of the Faraday's law. Now we have to understand EMF equation of the transformer, how much voltage is going to be generated with the help of the transformer. So let this phi is flux in the core of the transformer, right? And phi is a maximum value of flux in Weber. F is a supply frequency in hertz. We are assuming it is a constant frequency, and T is a time period which will be it will be inversely proportional to the frequency, T equal to 1 by F. Here you can see in this sinusoidal waveform, on the y-axis it is denoted flux, and on the x-axis it is denoted as a time. Here you can see this phi is equal to phi m sin omega t. So at t equal to t by 4, phi is equal to, because sin phi is equal to phi m, that means you will get the maximum flux. And we are assuming that E1 is the RMS value of the primary induced EMF at the primary side, and E2 is the RMS value of the secondary induced EMF at secondary side. N1 is the number of turns on the primary side, and N2 is the number of turns on the secondary side. And V suffix m is the maximum flux density, which is denoted as Weber per meter square. So here you can understand from the Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, the coverage EMF induced in each turn is proportional to the average rate of change of flux. So what is the average EMF of flux per turn is equal to, it is directly proportional to the d phi over dt. And d phi over dt is what? D phi means change in flux. So d phi is nothing but it is change in flux, and dt is change in time. That means time required for change in flux. So we are consider in 1 by 4 cycle of phi, it's change from 0 to maximum. Here you can see from 0 to at 0 phi is equal to 0, at t by 4 phi is a phi maximum. So d phi over dt is equal to what? Change in flux from 0 to t by 4 is phi m minus 0, that is phi m, and time is t by 4 minus 0 is t by 4. So it can be d phi over dt can be written as phi m upon t by 4, and t by 4 can be written as 1 upon 4f. So average EMF per turn equal to 4f phi m, right? So for sinusoidal quantity, form factor is nothing but it is a ratio of RMS value upon average value. So RMS value is equal to what? Form factor into average value. And what is the form factor? Form factor is nothing but it is 1.11. So RMS value is equal to 1.11 into average value, and what is the average value is 4f phi m. So just put value, average value as 4f phi m. So primary winding has N1 turns and secondary has N2 turns. So RMS value of primary and secondary induced EMF can be written as E1 is equal to 4.44 f phi m N1, and voltage induced at the secondary side, which can be denoted, or you can write like E2 equal to 4.44 f phi m N2. So what is the difference between this E1 and E2? That means this 4.44 f and phi m, these all are the constant. That means E1 is directly proportional to N1 and E2 is directly proportional to N2. So from the equation 2 and 3 for the ideal transformer, as I already told you that ideal transformer means what? Which have zero resistance in the winding, where there is no leakage flux, all the flux generated in the N1 is linked to the secondary side. So this is a ideal transformer. So in case of ideal transformer, you can write, because you can write E1 upon E2 is equal to N1 upon N2. So, or you can write E2 upon N1 is equal to N2 upon N1, and E2 is directly proportional to the applied voltage V2. So you can write V2 upon V1 is equal to E2 upon E1 equal to N2 upon N1, and it can be written as constant K. So K is what? K is N2 upon N1. So here you have to understand how you will explain what is a step up transformer, what is a step down transformer. So if number of turns, that is N2 at secondary side, is greater than N1, or you can say K is greater than, so E2 is greater than E1, so it will be the step up transformer. If N2, that is number of turns at secondary side, is less than the number of turns at the primary side, so of course K is less than 1. If K is less than 1, that means E2, that is induced EMF generated at secondary side, is less than the generated voltage at primary side. So E2 is less than E1, that means it is a step down transformer. In case if N2 equal to N1, that means number of turns at the primary side is equal to the number of turns to the primary side. So if N2 equal to N1, that means K is equal to 1. If K equal to 1, that means E2 equal to E1. So it will be called isolation or 1:1 ratio transformer, because you are not going to step up the voltage, or you are not going to step down the voltage. For an ideal transformer, it is assumed that the entire magnetic flux linked with the primary winding is also linked to the secondary winding. The relation between the voltage, current and number of turns in the primary and secondary coil is given by V1, I1 equal to what? V2 and I2. So that means V1, I1 is equal to what? That means volt ampere. So whatever the volt ampere at the primary side, it is denoted as VA or KVA. If it is a big transformer, that means the rating of transformer is more, so it will be denoted in KVA. So primary VA or KVA equals the secondary VA or VA. So as I told you in the previous slide, that means you cannot step up or step down the power. What you can step up or step down, that is a voltage and current. So again you can write V1 upon N1, that means voltage per turn at the primary side is equal to the voltage per turn at the secondary side. That means it is a constant. So the given two relation can be rearranged as V2 upon V1 is equal to I1 upon I2. Here you can notice that means secondary voltage V2 and to the ratio of primary voltage V1 is equal to the primary current E1 to the ratio of secondary current I2 is equal to N2 upon N1. Here V1, I1 and N1 represent voltage, current and number of turns respectively in the primary coil, whereas voltage V2, which is at the secondary side, and current I2 and N2 represent the voltage, current and the number of turns respectively in the secondary side. So what transformer does? Transformer just step up and step down the voltage and current. Now we have to understand why the rating of transformer is always written as in volt ampere or kilovolt ampere or megavolt ampere. That means why it is denoted in terms of voltage and current only. Why not in terms of the watt? Like, because all the rating of all the machines is generally denoted in the watt. Like suppose I am saying we are going to purchase one single phase motor, so we will say we are going to take a half horsepower motor or 2 kilowatt motor. But when you are taking the transformer, so the rating of transformer is generally denoted in volt ampere. So now we have to understand why it is so. The rating of transformer in volt ampere, that is VA or KVA or MVA, the rating of machine indicate the power supplied by it. While designing the transformer, there is no idea about the load and its nature, so rating is expressed in volt ampere, KVA and volt ampere. Moreover, the copper loss that happens in the binding of the transformer, that copper loss is nothing but it is a I square R loss. That means whatever the losses that is occurring in the coil of the transformer, which is directly proportional to the square of the current flowing through that coil. And core loss is proportional to the supply voltage. And what are these core loss? Core losses may be the hysteresis losses and eddy current losses. That means these two losses is directly proportional to the supplied voltage, and copper losses is proportional to the current. That means there is two terms are coming, only current and voltage. So the rating of transformer is denoted in volt ampere or kilovolt ampere and megavolt ampere. That means the power factor is not playing any role in case of the transformer. So because power is equal to what? P is equal to voltage, current and cos phi power factor. So now because power factor is not playing, so power is equal to volt into ampere. That's why the rating of transformer is given in VA or kVA or MVA. Now question arises, can transformer work on DC? Because I told you that transformer work on the AC. Why? Because how the EMF on the primary side will develop when E1 is equal to N1 d phi over dt. That means rate of change of flux is very much necessary. So in case of AC it is changing in nature, but in case of DC the supply voltage is constant with respect to the time. That means it is not changing. If it is not changing, that means flux is not changing. If flux is not changing, that means E1 equal to N d phi over dt. This d phi over dt is 0. If this d phi over dt is 0, that means E1 is 0. That means it is not inducing any voltage at the primary side. Now what will happen? If this E1 is 0, so what will happen? Because E1 oppose the cos, and cos is what? V1. So E1 is written as minus V1. So whatever the current will flow through the coil of this transformer, so I1 can be written as I1 is equal to what? V1 minus E1 upon impedance of that particular coil. That means R, that is resistance, and inductance, that is leakage reactance or mutual inductance. So in case of DC, because E1 is 0, right? So that means this B1 minus E1 is very high. If this B1 minus E1 is very high, that means current is very high. That means huge amount of current will flow through the coil of the transformer. So huge amount of current will flow. That means I square R losses will be very, very high. So coil of this transformer will be damaged. In other terms, you can understand, in case of DC, there is no leakage reactance, inductance, because XL is equal to what? Omega L, and omega is equal to what? 2 pi FL. And in case of DC, frequency is 0, that means XL is 0. So that means if you are applying DC in case of transformer by any means, you are forcing the DC. So what will happen? Inductive reactance is 0, right? E1 is 0. So again you understand, I1 is equal to what? B1 minus E1 upon impedance. Here you will notice E1 is 0, that means value in the numerator has already increased. And in case of denominator, because this Z is equal to what? R plus JX. X is again 0. This means again value of this Z is reduced. So in value of the denominator is reduced and then the numerator is increased. So what is happening? This I is increasing very, very high. If this current is very, very high, so IR square R losses is very, very high. That means whole transformer will be damaged if you are applying DC across the transformer. Now we have to classify the transformer. Apart from the classification on the basis of the purpose, whether we are going to use for the transmitting, for the power transformer or for the distribution transformer, transformer are also classified on the basis of the type of core, right? And type of the cooling, what type of cooling you are going to do for the transformer, and what type of the core you are going to use. As you know, the core of the transformer is laminated. So on the basis of the core, the transformer may be of the two type. One is a core type transformer, another is cell type transformer. So in the core type transformer, what happens? Core type transformer have core with a hollow square through the center. Note that core is made of many lamination of the steel. Why this core is made of lamination? It is made of lamination to reduce the eddy current losses. If it is solid, that means eddy current losses will be very high. So efficiency of the transformer will be less. So that means the core of transformer is laminated. Here you can see in the second diagram, that means primary and secondary winding both are placed on the limb. So primary and secondary, you can understand, it may be the low voltage or it may be the high voltage. If it is a step up transformer, that means primary winding is low voltage winding. If it is a step down transformer, that means primary is a high voltage winding. So here we are taking example, it is a step up transformer. So primary voltage is a low voltage. So first primary voltage is fixed on the core of the transformer. Why? Reason is what is the reason? Because it have low voltage, that means less insulation is required. So first you put the primary winding which have less voltage, then the secondary winding. So here you can see in the third diagram, that is a low voltage winding is near to the core and high voltage winding is apart from the core. And what reason? Reason is only to minimize the insulation required. And here this type of winding is called cylindrical winding. So core type transformer has two limbs, and this yoke have a core which is laminated. Now another is cell type transformer. Here you can see cell type transformer are the most popular and efficient transformer, and they have cell core. Note that each layer of the core consists of E and I shaped metallic section which are butted together to form lamination. The lamination are insulated from each other before being pressed together to form the core. Here you can see both the binding, primary binding and secondary binding are placed on the center limbs, right? So that means whatever the magnetic flux will be generated due to the primary, it will be directly linked to the secondary. That means chances of the leakage flux is very less in case of the core type transformer. Now again here you can see the core type, difference between the core type and cell type transformer. So here in the first diagram, the core type transformer, and the figure which is denoted by the figure B, it is a cell type transformer. Now we have to classify the transformer on the basis of the cooling. So why cooling is done? Because whenever the current flows through the coil of the wire, so of course current is flowing and there is a resistance of the wire, so I square R losses will be there. If I square R losses will be there, that means heat is going to be generated. So if heat is generated, that means very high heat will be generated, which will be very dangerous to damage the coil of that particular transformer. That means to cool the coil of the transformer, cooling is also necessary, and this cooling can be done with help of the fan. This cooling can be done with help of some another mechanism. It can be done by the air cooling. It can be done with the oil cooling. So on the basis of the cooling, transformer can be classified as dry type cool transformer and oil filled transformer. Dry type transformer are natural air cooling and are usually of very small rating. They are rugged and simple in construction and are not plugged with the failure related with oil cooling. Oil filled transformer are of two types. One is a natural, another is forced. So one type uses self-cooling and other type uses forced cooling. Self-cooling oil filled transformer have natural circulation of insulating oil within which the entire transformer is immersed. They are of moderate rating and are suitable for outdoor duty, as these require no housing other than their own and thereby save on cost. For higher ratings, either the smooth surface of tank is corrugated or is provided with the radiator or pipes to get greater heat radiation area. Here you can see the fins. Here fins are used to cooling. That means when heat is associated in the coil, this heat will be transferred through the conduction or through the convection, and you are increasing the surface area of the fins. That means this fins will come in the contact of the ambient air, so this heat associated in the limbs will be transferred to the air. So if you are able to transfer this heat, that means you are able to cool the coil of the transformer. And this cooling can be done with help of the fan. So some force this big fans are used to cool the transformer, that is called forced cooling. And for the cooling of this coil, oil is also used in the tank. The oil is merged, the transformer oil is used to cool the transformer. Large transformer requires force oil or water cooling. The coolant is circulated by pump to radiate high quantity of heat generated and also to minimize the size of transformer. Now we have to understand construction details of the transformer. Here you can see the different component starting from the wheel, earth, oil outlet point, wheel, tank, cooling tubes, tap changer, that is manually operated, temperature gauge, ST and LT terminal, oil level indicator, conservator, where in conservator is placed where extra oil is placed if there is a very high heat is generated in the transformer tank. So due to the some mechanism, alarm will be there, and some extra oil from the conservator to the transfer to the tank of the transformer, which will cool the coil of the transformer. Then Buchholz relays are here, and oil inlet valve here you can see, and breather, that is silica gel. Silica gel is used to avoid the moisture to enter inside of the conservator. So these are the main component of the transformer: tank, core, oil drain valve, ST binding, LT binding, breather, oil inlet valve, Buchholz relay, breather pipe, conservator tank, oil level gauge glass, equalizer pipe, thermometer. Thermometer is used to measure the temperature, cooling tubes to used for the cooling purpose. So now we have to see the conservator tank. Here in the red circle you can see it is a conservator. Conservator tank is provided for the provision of expansion and contraction of the oil in the transformer. It is also known as expansion tank. This tank is connected to the main tank through a pipe with a valve. Oil level in the conservator tank is maintained at half of its volume. Now we have to understand what is the function of equalizer pipe. This pipe connecting the conservator tank and explosion vent is known as equalizer pipe. If small quantities of gases are formed inside transformer tank, then what will happen? These gases will be collected in tank. Now these gases will maintain equal pressure in between explosion vent and conservator with help of equalizer pipe. So this is the function of the equalizer pipe. Now you have to understand what is the function of breather. It is attached to the conservator tank and contains silica gel, which prevents the moist air entering into the tank during the contraction of the oil. When oil is hot, there is expansion and gas in the tank passes to the atmosphere through it. When the oil cools, it contracts and the air enters tank through it. It prevents the oil to get the moisture from the atmosphere. By the observing the color of the silica gel, you can find out whether moisture is there inside of the tank or not. So if it is pure, it is in color of the blue, that means there is no moisture. If its color is changing, that means you can find there is some moisture has entered in the coil. If moisture is entered, that means moisture is what? Moisture is nothing but it is a water. If water is entering in the transformer tank, that means water is mixing in the oil. So there may be the chances of the sorting of the binding. So if you are able to see the color of the silica gel is changing, that means you have to extract the moisture from the tank of the transformer. So for that some mechanisms are used to extract the moisture that I am not going to explain in this lecture. Now you have to understand what is the function of Buchholz relay. It is the protective relay of the transformer. This device signals the fault as soon as it occurs and cuts the transformer out of the circuit immediately. This is the gas operated protective relay. It is installed in between the pipe connecting the tank and the conservator. The Buchholz relay is another basically chapter. That means you have to understand how the functioning are done. Basically in the short you can understand there is some valve, and in the valve there is a mercury. So suppose this mercury is placed here and there is a one terminal here and another terminal is here. So when heat is generated, so this will be the tilt, right? So this silica gel, this mercury will make the contact between these two terminals, and one signal will transfer to the conservator. That means this signal will give this alarm will give the signal. That means there is a need of the oil. So the extra oil will transfer from conservator to the tank of the transformer to cool the coil of the transformer. This relay work on the formation of the excessive oil vapor or gas inside the transformer tank due to the internal fault of the transformer. It consists of two operating floats. These are operated by two mercury switches separately provided for each float. One float is for bell alarm and other float is for operating the tripping circuit. Now we have to understand what are the reasons for the transformer failure. So there are main three reasons for the transformer failure. One is a poor performance, another is a improper protection, and third is a manufacturing defects. The poor performance is due to the low oil level, draining of the oil, due to the leakage, theft of the oil, due to the improper earthing, due to the mechanical failure of the binding. Another reason may be the defective breather and the consequent ingress of the moisture. And another reason due to the poor performance of the transformer may be the low electric strength of the oil or binding insulation, corrosion of the core lamination. And there are many reasons for the improper protection. This improper protection may be due to the using of defective or overrated fuses, or maybe due to the consistent overloading of the transformer, or due to the not providing lightning arrestor. And the manufacturing defect may be from the improper or inadequate design, poor quality of the material, bad workmanship, and poor short circuit withstand capacity. So these are the reasons for the transformer failure. One is a proper performance, another is improper protection, and third one is a manufacturing defect. So in this particular session, we have discussed about the transformer, what is the need of transformer, what is a transformer, why it is being used, and what are the main components of the transformer, how the voltage is generated in the transformer. In the next lecture, we will discuss about how the phasor diagram of the transformer at different load, like in the resistive load, in the inductive load, and capacitive load, and what are the different losses that occurs in the transformer due to the in the coil, that is the I square R losses. And as I already told you that core losses depends on the voltage. That means we have to understand what are that core losses, that is hysteresis losses and eddy current losses. So all these losses will be discussed in the next lecture. If you have any query, please you can write the mail at sanjay.agrawal@igno.ac.in. And if you have any query, please don't hesitate to write into the mail. You are always welcome.